At Qantas.com/cards. Cards are not offered or issued by Qantas. Minimum spend, credit eligibility criteria, T's and C's, fees and charges apply. See website for details.
Take on the fun with the Ladbrokes popular same-day multi. See which bets are trending with punters. It's for those that love hot bets as much as they love hot pies. Ladbrokes, these footy finals. Chances are you're about to lose.
2GB weekends. Right now at Bingley, get free premium delivery on select laundry appliances. There's never been a better time to upgrade. In store or online at bingley.com.au.
Lots of feedback coming in already, and I will get to those text messages in just a second. We're also happy to take calls too, 131873, after we speak to the great man himself.
Rural Politics with Dennis Shanahan.
Yes, good morning, Dennis. Happy Saturday.
Good day, Phil, and yes, happy Saturday to you. I mean, where would I be if I wasn't talking to you on a Saturday?
Good point. It has been a long time, and of course, in that time, you've been national editor of the Australian, and we heard last night that the great Rupert Murdoch has finally passed the baton to Lachlan, and I suppose that's not a big surprise to you or many other people. I mean, he is 90, isn't he? How... 92, there you go. How has that been greeted by the media world?
Oh, look, I think there was always, a bit of a fear that something might happen suddenly to Rupert Murdoch, and that, then large companies like this, it is a huge company, multinational company, that then if something suddenly happens and there isn't a preparation, there is a great sort of uncertainty. Whereas I think what he's done now, and it was, he has said previously he was going to die with his boots on, but it is clear that he has decided now, at the young age of 92, that he is expecting to live a bit more, that he's actually organised an orderly transition to his son, Lachlan. And so I think that's taken away that era, that sort of aura of potential uncertainty. There'll no doubt be some changes, and we'll see that. But I think in the main, the idea of an orderly transition will add some certainty to the overall company and the outlook. And people aren't sort of suddenly thinking, oh, everything's changed, So I think that's, and he will be there as emeritus chairman, so he'll be still working around, and I wouldn't mind betting he'll be working around quite a bit, looking over people's shoulders.
Well, my only brush with the Murdoch family, the royal family of Australian media, was just a quick chat with Lachlan about coffee when he took over Channel 10 out the front of that building. But a lot of people have Kerry Packer stories. You, of course, would have a Rupert Murdoch story, wouldn't you, mate?
Yes, I have. In fact, I started in journalism as a copy boy just on 52 years ago this year, and I was a copy boy for the Daily Mirror, the old North Limited headquarters, and of course Rupert Murdoch was very much the boss there, and you'd see him around loading newspapers onto trucks and doing all sorts of things. But the first time I actually met him, I actually was a bit violent. I hit him quite hard in the chest, just above the heart. I winded him, and a couple of people with him had to steady him, and I ducked away and ran away, being a young rugby player. And unfortunately, though, later Rupert Murdoch organised a security guard to drop me out of a second-floor window. So those were the days when, journalism was pretty rough and ready, and I was a young copy boy learning the tricks from Rupert Murdoch.
Look, I don't go quite back that far, but I remember a news producer cutting off my tie because he thought it looked really stupid on TV. So yeah, they were the old days, which would be, I don't know how kids today would cope with that sort of thing. Now, I have to also quickly ask Dennis too that I found it quite amusing that of all the politicians, I don't think I've heard from Kevin Rudd yet, but it was quite big there for a while, and the lefties were lapping it up, that both Malcolm Turnbull and Kevin Rudd seem to be blaming Rupert for all their career failures, which was rather amusing.
Well, it was, and look, I get on still get on very well with Kevin Rudd and so forth, but look, no one was more responsible for each of their downfalls than those two people themselves. And it didn't matter, who was trying to support you, who was running a campaign against you. If you lose the support of your colleagues and you're the leader, it is your fault. And certainly Kevin Rudd and Malcolm Turnbull both got right out of touch with their local members, their colleagues, and they lost that as a result. It wouldn't have mattered what was appearing in the News Corp papers. And of course, Kevin Rudd and Malcolm Turnbull were both on a push to have a royal commission into News Corp, but it was clear that wasn't going to happen, and he resigned, that is Kevin Rudd resigned from that to become the Australian ambassador in Washington. So these things pass, and all sorts of things are said about people, but in the end, I think we're all responsible for ourselves, particularly political leaders.
Yeah, here. And it's certainly an ego barometer when you go searching everywhere but yourself when it comes to failings. Now, on to more important things. The plan to hold a COVID-19 inquiry and exclude the states, Dennis, has not gone down particularly well.
Now, look, it's been a lead balloon everywhere. Health experts, experts on the Federation, political leaders, even some Labor MPs are saying this is a bizarre thing to do, because here it was, the whole part of the problem with the pandemic coverage was the difficulty of the federal-state relations and the autonomy that the premiers had. It was the premiers that made all of the big calls on the things that affected people's lives most. Lockdowns and mask wearing, all those things that affected people's lives so much, and people lost jobs as a result and so forth. These were decisions by the state government. Now, I had quite a fair bit of sympathy for Scott Morrison at the beginning of the pandemic, because we had seen a pandemic once before in Australia, and the Spanish flu. And one of the big lessons out of the Spanish flu, which killed a lot of people, a bigger proportion of people of the population than died from COVID. And one of the lessons was that the states operating without cooperation and without uniformity were actually part of the problem to make deaths worse. In fact, the Spanish flu spread from Melbourne to Sydney because the Victorian government broke an agreement with the other states to say that they would report the outbreak. They didn't report it and spread to the rest of the country. This was the big lesson about the Spanish flu. Scott Morrison took it, he set up the National Cabinet to at least have cooperation